I have owned my truck now for just over a year. This is my 2024 GMC Sierra with the 3-liter Duramax diesel. And this thing has never failed to amaze me with gas mileage. It has been absolutely fantastic. And I want to see if I can improve that today with this S&B cold air intake. I'm going to run it on another 90-mile loop, which I ran 2 days ago and got 25.6 miles per gallon, and I ran that at 75 miles an hour set on cruise control. 25.6 at 75 miles an hour is absolutely insane. I'll go over some of the modifications I've got on this truck, which makes it even crazier. But again, can you really improve what this engine does stock, which again is already insane as it is? We're gonna find out today. Now, I picked this bad boy up from Realtruck.com. I've done a lot of stuff with Realtruck over the years. They've supported this channel previously, but again, I purchased this with my own money and decided to run it through some testing myself. And depending on what those results are, if you're interested, you can check it again in the link in the description down below. Now, this truck, as it sits today, has 15,346 miles on it, so the motor should be pretty well broken in. It is also sitting on a 3-inch super lift kit, which the AT4 already comes from the factory with a 2-inch lift. So this is actually only about a 1-inch lift over top of factory, but it is sitting on 35-inch tires, which are quite a bit heavier and also have more rolling resistance. It also has Talon's Garage skid plates. So theoretically, maybe the bottom of the truck is a little more slipstreamed. I don't know. I haven't put the truck in a wind tunnel, but that gives you a pretty good idea of what this truck is set up like and in terms of modifications. So if you're trying to figure out how this might run for your truck, that's kind of how my truck is set up. So with that said, let's get this thing unboxed, see what this is all about. I believe this is going to be the pipe that goes direct to the turbo. Jeez, this air box is huge. This air filter is also huge. This whole thing is just giant. Now, I did go with the dry filter. I prefer to have the dry filter because it will actually filter a little better than the wet filter. Here in the desert, I prefer to actually have the dry filters because of the sandy or dusty environment. It's definitely stuff you want to lay out and get nice and organized before you take it on a project like this. It's very easy, but just a lot of parts. There's everything in the box. S&B, you cheaped out on the instruction manual. It's always nice when you get, like, you know, especially when you spend, I think this was like 350 bucks. It's nice to get the instructions with it. They do have a nice, you know, step-by-step on the website instruction manual. Phones are expensive, and working around on the phones is kind of not ideal. That wasn't too bad. It definitely is more than what I'm used to in terms of installing these things. There's a lot more deconstruction on this diesel than there is in a lot of vehicles because mainly the turbo is on the backside. It's not really out of the realm of possibility for your average person to do either with basic tools. The instructions online did a really good job of explaining how to go through it. There is one thing that I don't love, and I'm gonna reach out to S&B and see if I can get another one. This connector for the mass airflow sensor the little tab on there actually broke off, so it's barely holding on. I was able to wedge a zip tie in there to hopefully kind of keep it firmly installed there. I did reach out to S&B. They responded to me literally within the hour that they were going to send out a new cable. So pretty good customer service there. Happy with that response. Thanks, S&B. But otherwise, everything else pretty nice. And it's in there. So let's fire this thing up and see, make sure we got no codes. First tool check. I always like to walk around and see where I left tools. Let's start it up and see, make sure we got no check engine lights or anything. Looks like we don't have any codes. Go and drive this thing around the block. So here we are about to run our 90-mile loop. This is the same pump that I used 2-3 days ago now when I ran the first test. And while that's running, I always use the Fuely app, and that's how I've been tracking these runs. 15,360, wait 5 seconds, and then top it off. Gallons, 4.617. Total cost, 15.23. Now let's go and bang out 92 miles. Now I'm going to run the Banks iDash for data logging, which works out good for illustration, and then the Garmin Montana for GPS tracking, and we will keep track of all the mileage that way, and we'll see if this S&B air intake is worth it. Coming up on our end here, we are showing 26.9, which is promising. I think on the last run I was showing on the dash like 23.6 or something in that range. Get lucky and get the same pump twice. An hour and 17 minutes. That's pretty much perfect. So save that. 15,452. All right. Gallons 3.482. Total cost 11.49, 26.4. So 0.8 gallons better. Let's go back to the garage and take a look at the data. So before we get into the data, just pulling the truck in the garage here, when I shut the thing off, you can hear a bit of a sound difference. And that is because they go with just a straight pipe versus what GM had in here, which is like this giant baffled. This is all about sound deadening. It's not about efficiency. They do this because, well, they know that your average soccer mom's also going to want to drive one of these in a Tahoe or a Suburban. And those people, they don't want to hear turbo noises. So that's why you end up with things like this. Let's cut this thing in half because, well, I do that on this channel sometimes, and see what's in this thing here. Well, what's all that nonsense for? Oh, well, this is interesting. Obviously, airflow, the pipe that S&B provides, is just a smooth, straight shot versus this thing. There's some baffled sections here, like a muffler, that allow the airflow to seemingly just swirl in there. Yeah, that's a sealed chamber. So the air stays in there, and then as it swirls around in there, I'm assuming again as a sound deadening comes into this chamber here. There's a couple little channels that are in here that kind of send the air into the turbo, but then there's this weird chamber here, and I thought, oh, that must just be like a sealed off chamber, but why would that exist as just like a bigger injection molded piece? But if you look on this side, there's actually some cut-ins here, these basically like fingers or tines that sit on top of here. So that means that you have another separate chamber for air to come in here and get worked around in here. And then there's also a little tiny exit here for the air to kind of go. There's that saying of, you're doing too much, bro. And I think that this intake pipe going to the turbo it's doing too much. So let's talk about the data. First and foremost, obviously the number one thing people are going to look at when they get something like this is miles per gallon. This thing only got 0.8 mpg better. Again, I ran this at 75 miles an hour. Is it possible that if we ran this at 65 or 60, ran those tests back to back, that it might do better? Possibly, because with these large trucks, the faster you go, basically wind resistance becomes your biggest enemy. But I do 75 because the speed limit here is 65. Everybody here is doing 85, and I feel like 75 is how most people drive. Every time I say that, people drop comments down below saying, oh, my area only has 55 mile an hour speed. Well, you are free to run the tests yourself. I'm just here providing the data that I ran, and you can take it for what it's worth. So let's dive deeper into the data besides just MPG. Now, I pulled all this data together using the Banks iDash. I have the iDash Pro, and it is the data logging version. I bought that specifically to be able to do videos like this, but I do recommend the iDash. I absolutely love it. And the data you see here, I took the tables, which basically take the entire run, and I just averaged the numbers out over the course of the entire run. This is a cold air intake. So was the air colder than what the stock air intake had? Intake air temp number 1, which is taken at the mass airflow sensor, was 5.7 degrees closer to ambient air temperature with the S&B air intake. So the OEM solution does run almost 6 degrees warmer than the S&B. And I'm actually surprised by that a little bit, because the way this box is designed is it is actually pulling air from the factory location, which is taking the air through the radiator here, pre-radiator, pulling the air in here and sucking it into the air box. But it also has these giant openings here. I did close off the third opening just because this area, I think, is actually doing a good enough job of taking air from the radiator area. There's a bunch of kind of dead negative space down here where I'm sure there's some air coming up from the wheel wells, and I would presume a lot of the heat from the engine bay at speed is getting pushed to the rear of the engine bay. Now, another number that I pulled that I thought was interesting was the lower load and manifold pressure. So the calculated load dropped from 51.2% down to 49.5% with this air intake. And then also the MAP dropped from 24.2 down to 23.1. Again, not sure what those numbers mean, but it does show there is a difference. Now, the bad. Cost to results ratio, $350 for point MPG better, a little more sound, 2% less engine load maybe. If you're expecting like some big horsepower feeling change, you're really not going to get it. The ECMs on these vehicles, they basically trim everything back out to be around stock anyways. So when you talk about all of the computers that are on these vehicles, anything you do to modify it, if you don't actually tune the computers are just getting different information, making a bunch of corrections to get everything back to what the computers think the vehicle is supposed to be at in the first place. So you're not really gaining a whole lot in terms of performance. You're just allowing the engine to breathe a little bit easier, and then maybe, of course, the ECM can make some adjustments to reap some of those benefits, but you're not going to get really all of it, especially if you're not going down the route of tuning. I did notice with these data points that the NOx readings went from 366 parts per million with the OEM to 768 parts per million with the S&B. Now, the ECM did compensate for it, which you can see in the downstream data, but it is worth noting. The research that I did on this, again, drop a comment down below. Let me know if you are aware of how this works, but it seems to be that the cooler intake air and slightly leaner combustion can spike those NOx readings at a steady cruise. So again, not sure if it's a big deal or not. I mean, ultimately, the S&B does what it says that it's supposed to do. Is it worth $350? I don't know. I could say yes and no. Cold air intakes, there's a lot of conversation back and forth about if they're worth it or not. And well, I could easily argue that they aren't worth it. There's something that I tend to always buy for every vehicle I have, and I don't really quite know myself, other than I love to mod my vehicles And I do like some of that visceral feeling that you get back from the sounds and engine noises that come from removing all of the baffled out OEM stuff. That's just kind of my take, and I think that most people who are going to watch a video like this probably aren't on the fence about buying a cold air intake. They might just be looking for somebody like me to justify the purchase that they are going to make anyways. That's sort of how I've always viewed these things, is I'll watch the videos and somehow find parts and pieces of them that go like, yeah, I need to have that. You don't. That's sort of my takeaway with it, but I'm happy that I did it. It was a bit of a bear to install, but at the end of the day, it seems like it's a pretty solid piece of equipment. So with that being said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I will see you guys next time.